Hi, this is Alex, and welcome to Brewing with Power. Today I'm going to be brewing Zur The Enchanter, and before you say anything, it's not your typical Zur list. One of the things I wanted to focus on with this list is how can I utilize Zur without having to rely on necropotence and end-step wins. I'm seeing a lot more stacks in the current CEDH meta, and I want to deal with that in a way that I think is unique, as well as something that can pivot and grind a little bit more than what I feel Turbo Zur likes to do. Before we get into today's video, I wanted to talk quickly about our sponsor, Moxfield.com. Moxfield is the best website for brewing and building your Magic the Gathering decks. It has tons of tools available that make building your new deck a breeze. Whether it be quick search, packages for quick adding of cards, multiple format support, and sorting options that fit your style, Moxfield is the best place to brew and build your MTG decks. Once you've built your deck, there are easy to use links to purchase your deck over at places like TCG Player to ensure you get great prices on the cards you purchase. We at Playing with Power use Moxfield for all of our decks. Once we discovered Moxfield and saw how easy it was to build decks, we brought all of our decks over to this system. It's free to sign up and free to use. Be sure to check out our link in the description and give Moxfield a try today. So I present Zur the Reanimator. With Zur the Reanimator, we have a lot of really cool tools. The first thing that I wanted to focus on is Zur. Zur is a one colorless white, blue, black creature, human wizard. Flying, whenever Zur the Enchanter attacks, you may search your library for an enchantment card with converted mana cost 3 or less and put it onto the battlefield. If you do, shuffle your library. It's a 1/4. We are looking at an attack trigger. With attack triggers, all you have to do is swing. That is it. You have to attack, and the trigger puts on the stack. You don't need to do combat damage. That's relevant. Zur does have a pretty high toughness, so not too many creatures will be able to kill it, but it is important to keep that in mind. In terms of our creatures, we have Esper Sentinel, Hope of Ghirapur, Dark Confidant, Dothy, Drannith Magistrate, Gilded Drake, Grand Abolisher, Malevolent Hermit, Phantasmal Image, Thassa's Oracle, Lurrus, Ranger, Captain Vios, Spellseeker, Auriok Salvateurs, and Razzaketh. Not too many creatures, 15 creatures, not that many. When we're looking at our creatures, we really want to get value, so we have Esper Sentinel and Dark Confidant, Dothy, Voidwalker. These creatures are really good at getting us ahead in the game. Esper Sentinel and Dark Confidant draw us cards, that's great. Dothy Voidwalker exiles cards that our opponents play, and then we can play one of those exiled cards. That's pretty good considering how much we want our opponents to fear casting spells, which I enjoy. Drannith Magistrate is a hate bear. It makes it so our opponents can't cast their commanders. Right now, I feel a lot of decks are commander-centric, so this is a pretty good stacks piece. Gilded Drake is good to take someone else's value piece or get our Zur the Enchanter back, because unfortunately Zur doesn't have haste, so you have to cast Zur past the turn, trying to get to your turn. In that time, people are looking to kill Zur as fast as possible. Grand Abolisher is a great turn 2 card because with Grand Abolisher we have essentially a silence on the board. The only thing that can be activated is activated abilities of lands, which is not necessarily relevant, but it could be relevant if there was a Mouth of Ranum that can kill our Zur. Malevolent Hermit is a great piece to protect our win cons. Phantasmal Image is also another thing to help us ramp out if there's an opponent, if opponent has a dockside, or we're looking to try and copy one of our own stacks pieces like a Ranger, Captain Vios, or our own Drannith Magistrate or another Dothy. Like, these are all cards that we might want to make a copy of just in case. Even Hope of Ghirapur. Lurrus the Dream Den, I'm going to get back to this in a minute. Ranger is a silence on a stick, and it also fetches up our Esper Sentinel, which is great. Spellseeker gets us an instant sorcery that we need with mana cost 2 or less. Most of the time, this is going to grab a Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pact. Lastly, we have Auriok Salvateurs, and this is I'm gonna loop back into Lurrus because it's part of what we're doing with Razzaketh. So if you are unfamiliar with Razzaketh, Razzaketh is a flying trample demon, 8/8 for 3 black mana, 5 colorless, and it says pay 2 life, sacrifice another creature, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. Really, really straightforward in terms of what it does. How it combos in this deck is we can, if we have Zur and another creature, all we have to do is cast an Entomb to put Razzaketh into the graveyard. Once we put Razzaketh into the graveyard, we can reanimate it using Zur by attacking. So we attack with Zur, we reanimate the Razzaketh. From there, we can sacrifice the other creature we have on the battlefield to search for Lion's Eye Diamond. We cast the Lion's Eye Diamond. We sacrifice the Lion's Eye Diamond, adding 3 black into our mana pool. We then sacrifice the other Zur, or we sacrifice Zur to look for Lurrus. We go and we grab Lurrus, and Lurrus is good in this situation because we have the 3 black floating. We then can cast Lurrus for the 3 black. It will allow us to recast our LED. We'll recast the LED, we'll sack the LED for 3 black again, and then we'll sacrifice Lurrus to grab another reanimation spell. We can do a few iterations of this. The end state will be for us to have 4 black, 2 white in our mana pool. And we'll cast Auriok Salvagers, and then from there we can use the white that's floating to go and make infinite mana with Lion's Eye Diamond. Lion's Eye Diamond and Auriok Salvagers, this combo is called Bomberman. And we really are excited about this because once we make infinite mana, we can then start using Zur to search for our win cons here. So we can search for, after that, we can sacrifice Auriok Salvagers after we've created infinite mana. We can sacrifice Auriok Salvagers, search for Grand Abolisher, play Grand Abolisher. By this time, there probably is no interaction in someone's hand if they're trying to interact with you here. I mean, that's interesting. But if you cast Grand Abolisher and resolves, then you can just go ahead and cast our Thassa's Oracle ETB on the stack. We can actually sacrifice Thassa's Oracle if we want to grab our one of the Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pact, and then we can use that as a win con. Okay, that's our creatures, and that's why I wanted to go over that. Sorceries are pretty generic sorceries. Gitaxian Probe, Imperial Seal, Reanimate, Demonic Tutor, Diabolic Intent, Savine's Reclamation, Solve the Equation, Time Twister, Windfall, and Yawgmoth's Will. Really, really good cards. This is a generic sorcery package. You may be asking, why am I running Time Twister? And the answer is sometimes it is good to be able to reset yourself. If you're unable to reanimate your Razzaketh, let's just try putting him back into our library, and we might have a better try doing something else with our mana. It might be an opportunity for us to maybe use a Necropotence line to try to set up a perfect win, something like that. With our instant package, the only thing in here that is really unique, not really unique, I shouldn't say it like that, is My Break Trap. My Break Trap, I think, is a really good card, and I'm running it over another spell that is in a lot of decks, and that spell is Dispel. I'm running My Break Trap instead because I'm seeing a lot more mid-range decks as well. Mid-range is a response to stacks, and so because of that, I want to be very cognizant of what I want to put in my interaction package, and My Break Trap is one of the things I want to play. I had thought about running a couple cards that I thought were really good. Cyclonic Rift, I think, is a really, really good card. I also think Swords to Plowshare is really good because we're really, really weak against Opposition Agent. So I don't want to be weak against that. So I'm going to run a couple things that deal with that. So we have Resculpt, we have Swords to Plowshare. We also have things that bounce, not too much though. I was considering Rushing River, but I'm not completely convinced that this is the card I want to have in the deck. Sacrificing lands is kind of tough, but I at this time I think this is okay. Okay, next is our artifacts. We have a pretty generic mana base here. I did not include Mana Vault in this list, and I do have Grim Monolith, and I think that could be incorrect to run Grim Monolith over Mana Vault, but in my mind I wanted to be able to untap at instant speed versus Mana Vault, which does not do that. It could be wrong. It could be wrong. I actually think it is. Now that the more that I think about it, the more I want to remove it. So we're going to remove it right now, and we're actually going to run another land I am going to run a, I think there's a plains. That's what the line I want to run here. Just a generic plains. With the artifacts, there's not too much in the way of trying to do more than what we need to do for the deck. Like, there is 13 artifacts and only 12 of them tap for mana. One of them will be one-time use, and that's it. So we effectively have 11. But it is gonna run us into where we need to go, and we're not really the highest on casting like an ad nauseum as fast as possible. It is a plan that I am perfectly happy with, but I really want to try and do the Razzaketh line. I think that is a really strong line and really, really powerful in this deck. With our enchantments, we have Mystic Remora, Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, Necromancy, Necropotence, and Rhystic Study. This is a basic enchantment suite for a Reanimator deck. There are some other cards that you could run, but these are going to be the cards that are going to be the most consistent. These are the cards we're also going to search for if our main line with Necromancy doesn't go, or we can do Necropotence, we can do Rhystic, and search for value. This deck has 30 lands. It had 29, but now we're at 30, and I like that. I do want to talk a little bit about what lands do for decks, and it's more than just helping you cast your spells. I feel that right now in the meta, a lot of people like to run 28 or 27 lands with an MDFC land, a land that can flip with a spell on the backside. I don't think that is currently where you should be brewing your decks. I think that having more lands allow you, especially in commanders like Zur is going to get killed a lot. So we want to be able to try and help make sure we're hitting our land drops as much as possible. And a lot of decks are unable to do that. So a good example in this deck, if I were to play a land into a mana crypt, that's wonderful, because the next turn, it'd be land mana crypt into, I don't know, Arcane Signet, sure. And then the next turn I play a land, I'm able to cast Zur. If Zur gets destroyed, the turn after that I can just play a land and recast Zur. The idea is to be as consistent as possible with getting Zur out turn after turn after turn, because Zur will get killed a lot. We have a decent amount of interaction to help stop this, but also if it gets too challenging, we really can try and assemble a different line by just getting Razzaketh into the graveyard and just reanimating it. That could be a line that is commander agnostic. Having Zur helps because it's an additional creature to sacrifice, and that's fine. But when Zur gets continually killed, it can be so challenging, and so I encourage you to be able to pivot in that way. Some of the things that I used to construct the deck today was I used our packages. I used our black, blue, and white ramp. I also used some stacks pieces. I looked to see if there was anything specifically. The only things I really got out of the stacks packages here were Malevolent Hermit and our Grand Abolisher. Those were the two things. Oh, and sorry, and the big star of this entire thing, Dreadnought Magistrate, for sure. Lastly, let's see, there was not much more in the way of brewing the deck, but more just the philosophy behind it. I really wanted to make sure that when people look at this deck, they are able to see the line, which is get Zur out, and all you really need is Zur and Entomb. That is all you need for this deck to win. Cast Zur, cast Entomb, attack with Zur, get a reanimation spell, you can win the game. Let's take a look at some of the more specific things in the deck. For permanents, we have 7 permanents that are 0. We have 4 permanents that are 1. We have 15 permanents with a CMC of 2. This is good. It's a great curve. We have 6 permanents with 3 and 4, and then we have 8. But right here, this mana curve is amazing. It means that on turn 2, we should be able to play most of our deck. I really like that a lot. Our average CMC in the deck without ad nauseum is 1.14. This is a great ad nauseum deck. You can go relatively heavy into it. When we look at our mana base, 20%, 23%, 20% when 30% of the deck is black, 31% is blue, 16% of the deck is white. We probably want to shift a little bit more to the black, but considering that Razzaketh is 3 color pips, but we're never looking to cast it. Same thing with the reanimation spells. We're looking to get them out for free. We can ignore this just a little bit. This is what an opening hand looks like. With our opening hands, this is a very controlling hand. It doesn't do anything else other than control. We can't cast Mana Drain, so Force of Negation may exile Mana Drain in this situation. We also have Mental Misstep. I don't believe this is the hand we want to keep. This hand, however, is a hand you can keep. And the reason why you can keep this is you can do land, Soul Ring, and your next turn you can just cast Spellseeker to look for Tainted Pact, and then the turn after that you can do Solve the Equation and look for Demonic Consultation. Or Thassa's Oracle. Sorry. You can use you can use Diabolic Intent. Yeah. Diabolic Intent, sacrifice Spellseeker, look for Thassa's Oracle. Perfect. This hand is not the worst. It's not good, but it's not the worst. Because you could do Scrubland, use Enlightened Tutor to grab actually, you would probably want to play Tundra. Tundra for Enlightened Tutor. You can Enlightened Tutor for a Rhystic, and then play City of Traders and just cast Rhystic turn 2, which is decent. Or you could look for mana. So you could use this for a Mana Crypt, and then play Mana Crypt on your next turn, play a land, pass, and then you have a turn 3. That'd be really rough. I wouldn't do that. I would just go for the Rhystic. All right. This hand is okay. Probably wouldn't keep it. So I'm gonna deal another hand. I would probably keep this hand. You have the ability to cast Swords, so you have a turn 1 play. So it's land, pass, land into Talisman, pass, and then after that you're gonna hope to God you get some more lands. All right, Time Twister is fine. So in this hand, we could do land. Let's play test it. Draw for turn. This hand got a lot better. Land, pass. Go to our next turn. We could do land. We could do a Dark Ritual into a Time Twister, or we could do Solve the Equation. Solve the Equation does the thing, but it's not that great. We could also cast Tainted Pact, maybe go for Thassa's Oracle. There's a lot of things we could do here. This hand is very controlling, but it doesn't have very much in terms of mana. Same thing here. And this hand is also bad. Okay, last hand. This hand I'll keep. It's not a problem. Here we're gonna draw. We're gonna play a Brainstorm. Look at the top 3. Lotus Petal. We can actually put you back, and you as well. Okay. So Brainstorm goes away. We can play Lotus Petal, and we can pass. Draw land. Play a Mana Confluence. You can just do Draneth here. Or no, we can play a Gitaxian Probe, draw a card. We can tap this. This is a much better play. Tap this for Arcane Signet. We will cast Imperial Seal. This is going to grab Thassa's Oracle. And then on the next turn, we'll be able to cast Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation. This hand I'll keep because you just win with Entomb. So you draw, and sometimes you're just really never punished. Chromox, this is going to exile Rhystic Seti. You're going to cast Malevolent Hermit. Pretty gross. Wow, this is just meant to be. Here, wow, this is absolutely bananas. Cast Zur. This is turn 2 Zur. And then we go to our next turn. We go here, we cast Entomb, put Razzaketh in the bin. We have a creature that we want to sacrifice, which is absolute bonkers. Actually, we'll cast Grand Abolisher. We're going to give everyone a little test. Actually, we can't cast Grand Abolisher because we don't have enough white sources, so we can't do that. But anyways, so Entomb for Razzaketh. everyone's scared. It's 1 black. We can then sacrifice Zur after that to Razzaketh to start the line, and just have a good time. Awesome. So let's get out of here. So this deck is pretty good. That last hand was exactly what we wanted to see. Obviously, you don't have all of the information when you're doing Goldfishing, but it does give you a little bit of insight into what the deck can do. I hope you enjoyed today's deck tech. Again, my name's Alex, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.